Malaysia to conduct review on membership in new development bank. US tariff to take effect on 1st August. Good afternoon and salam MADANI. I'm Priya and you're watching World Today. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim met with his Vietnamese counterpart Pham Minh Chinh in Brazil at the sidelines of the two-day BRICS Leaders Summit. Datuk Seri Anwar stated that the meeting provides an opportunity to assess the level of progress in cooperation across various sectors between Kuala Lumpur and Hanoi. Among cooperation that both countries are looking at were trade, investment, defence, security, maritime affairs, fisheries, as well as green energy and petroleum. During the meeting, the Prime Minister also raised the necessity of strengthening cooperation in addressing the issue of illegal fishing activities. Datuk Seri Anwar expressed hope that a more constructive approach could be initiated to ensure the sustainability of marine resources and to maintain the good relations between the two countries. Malaysia also fully supports the investment potential in renewable energy in southern Vietnam. This includes the initiative for undersea cables that can strengthen the bilateral energy network in line with the aspirations for the establishment of the ASEAN power grid. A follow-up meeting between the two leaders is set to take place at the ASEAN summit in October. And on another matter, the government is committed to strengthening Malaysia's aviation industry ecosystem and is ready to assist investors towards that. Datuk Seri Anwar said this will be achieved through investor-friendly policies, the development of local talent and high-impact technology collaboration. The Prime Minister stated that this aligns with the aspiration of making Malaysia a leading aerospace hub in the ASEAN region with a highly skilled workforce and a strong competitive industrial ecosystem. Prime Minister stated that the following after meeting with the President and CEO of Brazilian aircraft manufacturer Embraer, Francisco Gomes Neto. The meeting was held to discuss strategic investment opportunities in Malaysia. Malaysia also welcomes Embraer's involvement in the development of maintenance centres, pilot training, supply chains and low-carbon aircraft innovation, in line with the MADANI economy framework and the National Aerospace Industry Blueprint 2030. The government is committed to ensuring that all forms of cooperation are translated into high-value job opportunities, technology transfer and inclusive economic growth for the people of Malaysia. Meanwhile, Malaysia will conduct a comprehensive review of potential membership in the new Development Bank (NDB), taking into account various aspects including the required commitments and the effectiveness of participation in the institution. Datuk Seri Anwar said this after holding a meeting with senior officials of the NDB, formerly known as the BRICS Development Bank. As a multilateral development bank established by developing countries, the NDB offers a competitive financing alternative. This is in line with Malaysia's aspiration to diversify infrastructure development sources and accelerate the transition to a green economy. Datuk Seri Anwar stated Malaysia will thoroughly review the possibility of joining the NDB, taking into account various aspects, including the required commitments and the effectiveness of participation in the institution. He also took the opportunity during the meeting to congratulate Rousseff on her reappointment and express Malaysia's openness to exploring potential cooperation with the NDB. Datuk Seri Anwar also held a meeting with his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi at the sidelines of the 17th BRICS Summit, where they discussed trade and investment opportunities, as well as the proposed establishment of an Indian Institute of Technology campus in Malaysia. Both leaders discussed the significant potential for expanding strategic cooperation between Malaysia and India in various fields, including trade, investment, digital technology and defence. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim also welcomed Indian companies' interest in investing in future-oriented sectors in Malaysia, such as the digital economy, artificial intelligence, renewable energy and the aerospace industry. Both leaders also emphasized the importance of ensuring regional peace and stability and expressed support for just and peaceful resolutions to international issues such as Palestine and Jammu Kashmir. Dato' Sri Anwar stated Malaysia welcomed efforts to strengthen ASEAN-India relations with the ASEAN-India Summit scheduled to be held in October, in line with the spirit of cooperation for mutual benefit. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva urged leaders of the BRICS group of developing nations to take the lead on reforms during the summit in Rio de Janeiro on Sunday. Leaders of the BRICS condemned attacks on Iran, Gaza and Kashmir during the summit, presenting the bloc as a defender of multilateral diplomacy while indirectly criticizing U.S. military and trade policy. Expansion of the BRICS has added diplomatic weight to the gathering, which aspires to speak for developing nations across the global south, strengthening calls for reforming global institutions such as the UNI Security Council and the International Monetary Fund.
Para fazer jus ao nosso peso econômico, o poder de voto dos membros dos BRICS no FMI deveria corresponder pelo menos a 25% e não aos 18% que detemos atualmente. Onde os arranjos desenhados do pós-guerra insistem em falhar, o novo Banco do Desenvolvimento dá uma lição de governança.
The original BRICS group gathered leaders from Brazil, Russia, India and China at its first summit in 2009. The bloc later added South Africa and last year included Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates as members. This is the first summit of leaders to include Indonesia. More than 30 nations have expressed interest in participating in the BRICS, either as full members or partners, including Malaysia. U.S. tariffs are scheduled to take effect on 1st August, and President Donald Trump confirmed that he would start sending other countries the first letters on tariffs and trade deals starting 12 p.m. on Monday, U.S. time. Now, earlier, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that the president was setting the rates and the agreements at this very moment.
But they go into effect on August 1st. The tariffs go into effect August 1st, but the president is setting the rates and the deals right now. Well, the president is right in the midst of discussing all sorts of deals with all sorts of countries, and the gentleman to my right is going to decide, and I'm going to be with him when he makes that decision.
The tariffs were part of a broader announcement in April when Trump imposed a 10% duty on goods from almost all trading partners, with a plan to step up these rates for a select group within days. But he swiftly paused the hikes until 9th July, allowing for trade talks to take place. Countries have been pushing to strike deals that would help them avoid these elevated duties. U.S. President Donald Trump said that a Gaza ceasefire deal could be reached with the Palestinian group Hamas this week. Trump is due to meet with the Israeli Prime Minister on Monday at the White House.
No, we've gotten a lot of the hostages out, but pertaining to the remaining hostages, quite a few of them will be coming out. We think we'll have that done this week.
Trump also added the U.S. was working on a lot of things with Israel, including probably a permanent deal with Iran. Israel's military operations, combined with a shortage of food and severe humanitarian conditions affecting over 2 million individuals in the Gaza Strip, have resulted in the deaths of at least 57,418 people in Gaza, mostly civilians. U.S. President Donald Trump said that billionaire Elon Musk's move to start a new U.S. political party is ridiculous and could add to confusion. Tech billionaire, who once backed the Republicans, said he wanted to challenge the U.S. one-party system.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
Musk announced on Saturday that he is establishing the America Party in response to Trump's tax cut and spending bill, which Musk said would bankrupt the country. Previously, Musk spent hundreds of millions on Trump's re-election and led the Department of Government Efficiency under the Trump administration, aimed at slashing government spending, but the two have since fallen out over disagreements about the bill. Up next, death toll from floods in central Texas reaches at least 78. Stay with us.
Guna mentol jimat tenaga untuk lebih jimat.
Welcome back. South Korean prosecutors requested a new arrest warrant on Sunday to detain former President Yoon Suk-yeol after questioning him twice, including a session that lasted over 9 hours. The special counsel questioned Yoon on Saturday over his resistance during a failed arrest attempt in January, as well as allegations that he authorized drones to fly to Pyongyang as a justification for declaring martial law. Yoon's legal team slammed the warrant as excessive and unwarranted. Park said that Yoon had also been charged with falsification of official documents over his martial law declaration. Yoon was formally stripped of office in April after being impeached and suspended by lawmakers over his December 3rd attempt to subvert civilian rule, which saw armed soldiers deployed to parliament. He has appeared in court on insurrection charges and has been questioned by a special counsel investigating the martial law declaration. Last week, the court dismissed an arrest warrant requested by the special counsel after Yoon initially refused to appear for questioning, citing that he had since expressed a willingness to comply with future summons. An armed gang attacked the headquarters of the Kenyan Human Rights Commission on Sunday as it hosted a press conference calling for an end to state violence. The press conference was being held ahead of Monday's Sabah Day, an annual commemoration of pro-democracy protests in the 1990s. The Women's Collective Kenya, a grassroots rights movement, has helped to organize the press conference to call for an immediate end to arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings of their children for taking to the streets. But the meeting had yet to start when the gang of around 20 people attacked, some armed with sticks, forcing many to flee for safety. Armed goons, as they are widely known in Kenya, have been deployed to attack protesters in recent weeks. Protesters marching against police violence on 17th June were attacked by hundreds of men on motorbikes armed with whips and clubs. Journalists at the scene saw these armed goons working with the apparent protection of police, and some openly said they had been paid by local government leaders. At least 19 people died on June 25th as another day of protests turned violent, with thousands of businesses looted and destroyed. Greece has rescued hundreds of migrants off its southern islands of Gavdos and Crete in 5 separate incidents since Friday. More than 430 migrants were spotted and rescued about 25 nautical miles off Gavdos, Greece's southernmost island, on Sunday. The migrants were transferred to the port of Agia Galini on the southern coast of Crete, where they boarded buses that would transfer them to a different location. In a separate incident, also on Sunday, the European Union's Frontex border agency rescued 96 migrants on board 2 boats off Crete. The migrants are now being taken to Crete, Greece's largest and most populous island. Sea arrivals from northeastern Libya of migrants trying to cross to Europe have surged in recent months. They mainly come from the Middle East and North Africa, including nationals from war-torn Sudan and citizens of Egypt and Bangladesh. Now, the death toll from devastating floods in central Texas reached at least 78 people, including 28 children. The sheriff of Kerr County in Texas Hill Country said that at least 68 people had died in the flood incident. Texas governor said another 10 had died elsewhere in Texas and confirmed that 41 were still missing. Among the most devastating impact of the flooding occurred at Camp Mystic Summer Camp, a nearly century-old Christian girls' camp where 10 girls and 1 counselor were still missing. Helicopters fly overhead looking for survivors or bodies, while rescue teams in boats rowed up and down the river and emergency officials comb its banks. The flooding occurred after the nearby Guadalupe River broke its banks after torrential rain fell in the central Texas area on Friday. U.S. President Donald Trump said he would probably visit Texas on Friday. Meanwhile, Typhoon Danas made landfall on the west coast of Taiwan, unleashing heavy rainfall that caused flooding and landslides in the island. At least 10 landslides were recorded and 49 areas were flooded. The Central Weather Administration stated that storms struck land near the town of Budai with maximum sustained winds of 144 kilometers per hour. According to the National Fire Agency, at least 28 people have been treated for minor injuries. Most of the nearly 3,000 evacuated from their homes lived in mountainous areas around the southern port city. The observatory cautioned the public that high temperatures will trigger showers and squally thunderstorms. Danas dumped more than 500 millimeters of rain across southern Taiwan over the weekend. Most of the nearly 3,000 evacuated from their homes lived in mountainous areas around the southern port of city of Kaohsiung. At least 10 landslides were recorded and 49 areas flooded, but the water has since receded. Taiwan is accustomed to frequent tropical storms from July to October. Coming up in sports, Norris wins maiden British Grand Prix race. Stay tuned.
Bersihkan penapis penghawa dingin dan tetapkan 24 darjah Celsius untuk lebih jimat.
You're watching World Today. Moving on to our sports segment, Carlos Alcaraz came through a ferocious fourth-round firefight against Andrei Rublev to win 6-7, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 on centre court and keep his bid for a third successive Wimbledon title on track on Sunday. Now, the Spanish second seed stuttered in his opening 3 rounds, but found his best form to eventually subdue Rublev. Rublev took the first set on a tie-break, but Alcaraz engineered a break in the 8th game of the second set and served out to level the match. The Russian matched his opponent blow for blow in the third set, but squandered chances, and Alcaraz sealed the set with an audacious drop shot. The writing was on the wall when Rublev lost his serve in the 5th game of the 4th set, and Alcaraz made no mistake. Sinner has not dropped a single set, losing just 17 games on his way to the 4th round, and Djokovic was in imperious form in dispatching Serbian Davis Cup teammate Miomir Kecmanovic. Alcaraz and Sinner are the undisputed top dogs of men's tennis, sharing the past 6 Grand Slams between them as the era of the Big Three fades. But the 22-year-old has the edge on grass, winning 33 of his 36 tour-level matches on the surface. Alcaraz's last defeat at Wimbledon came against Sinner in the fourth round in 2022, and he is on a career-best 22-match winning run since April. Meanwhile, in the women's draw, world number one Aryna Sabalenka marched into the quarterfinals as her former doubles partner Elise Mertens fell short of upsetting the US Open champion. Now, Sabalenka has never reached a final at the All England club, but is the player to beat as the only one of the top 6 seeds in the women's draw still standing. The 27-year-old missed last year's Wimbledon due to injury and was banned in 2022 as part of a blanket suspension on Russian and Belarusian athletes. Sabalenka looks determined to make up for lost time, and just like in her third-round victory over Emma Raducanu, she had to overcome a tough test for Mertens to progress 6-4, 7-6. A fast start from Sabalenka saw her stretch out to a 4-1 lead, only for Mertens to battle back and level at 4-4. The three-time Grand Slam winner responded in style, winning 8 of the next 11 points to take the set. Now, Mertens got the early break in the second, but the world number 23 could not hold on. Sabalenka broke back to tie up the second set at 3-3, and after 6 straight holds of serve, the match was decided in a tiebreak. Mertens again had the early advantage, but Sabalenka's blistering ground strokes forced the Belgian onto the back foot before a volleyed winner sealed victory in just over 90 minutes on court. Sabalenka faces Germany's Laura Siegemund in the last 8 on Tuesday. And on to Formula One. Lando Norris won his home British Grand Prix for the first time and shed tears of joy, while McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri finished second. Now, the beaming 25-year-old Briton claimed his maiden home triumph in stirring fashion to trim Piastri's lead in the Drivers' World title race to 8 points. The Australian Piastri was handed a 10-second penalty for braking sharply behind the safety car while leading left Norris as the one celebrating. At the midway point in this year's 24-race championship, after 12 races, Piastri leads with 234 points ahead of Norris on 226 and Verstappen on 165. While in the constructors' race, McLaren lead with 460 to Ferrari on 222 and Mercedes on 210. It was McLaren's first home triumph at Silverstone since 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton won in 2008. For Norris, it was a first home win, his 4th win of the year, and the 8th of his career. For Hülkenberg, 37, and his 16th season, finishing 3rd, delivered his long-awaited first podium in his 239th race, but also ended Hamilton's run of 12 podiums in his home event. And moving on to cycling, Alpecin's Mathieu van der Poel edged Tadej Pogacar to win the second stage of the Tour de France in a tense hilltop finale at Boulay-sur-Mer on Sunday. Now, the victory saw the Dutch rider take the lead in the overall standings after depriving Pogacar of his 100th career win. It was the second Tour de France stage win for Van der Poel, who took the yellow jersey from his teammate Jasper Philipsen. Denmark's Jonas Vingegaard seemed at ease as he crossed the line in 3rd, with Frenchman Romain Grigore 4th and his compatriot Julian Alaphilippe 5th. Van der Poel also won stage 2 in the 2021 Tour de France and then dug deep to retain the yellow jersey for 6 grueling days. Philipsen may have lost the yellow jersey, but he will set off Monday wearing the green one assigned to the peloton's best sprinter. Defending champion Pogacar was also invited onto the podium due to the points he won atop the 4 hills of the day's stage that saw him earn the right to don the polka-dot King of the Mountains tunic. Team UAE's Slovenian rider is second in the overall standings, with Visma's Vingegaard just 2 seconds behind him in 3rd. And moving on to cricket, Akashdeep took 6 wickets as India crushed England by 336 runs to level the series at 1-1 on Sunday after they bowled out of the hosts for 271 to claim their first Test victory at Edgbaston and Shubman Gill's first win as captain. Now, India had never won at Edgbaston in 8 Tests, losing 7, and they were humbled last time out 3 years ago. India faced with the daunting task of chasing 608 to win. However, England crumbled as Deep ripped through the top order and claimed his maiden Test 5-wicket haul. It was also India's biggest away win by runs, helped in large part by Gill's 430-run haul, which earned him the Man of the Match award. India's bowlers targeted the cracks on a surface that had been a good batting track for 4 days, none more so than Deep, who removed overnight batters Ollie Pope and Harry Brock in the first session. Pope played on a rising delivery that crashed into his stumps, while Dhruv was surprised by an off-cutter that trapped him to leave England reeling at 83 for 5. Skipper Ben Stokes and Jamie Smith steadied the ship with a 70-run partnership of 115 balls. With lunch beckoning, however, Washington Sundar struck to remove Stokes' LBW for 33. Resuming on 153 for 6, Smith scored a half-century, but nearing another 100 with 2 consecutive sixes. He fell for an 88, going for a third, when he was caught at Deep backward square to become Deep's 5th victim. Bryden Cars provided entertainment with a bat as he went after the bowling, but he was the last man out for 38 when he skied Deep to Gill, who fittingly took the catch to seal a famous victory for his team.
Lebih menjimatkan memasak dengan jerit penuh.
And that's it from us this afternoon in our top story. Malaysia to conduct a review on potential membership in New Development Bank. Do join us tonight at 8:30 p.m. for more news on TV1 and Saluran Berita RTM, or you can stream us live on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Now, before you go, here's a clip of the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday celebration in Tibet. Till then, I'm Mohana Priya, Malaysia MADANI, Rakyat, Disantuni. Thank you for your company.